morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is tempting to dismiss this idiot walking around up and down the roads carrying a sign in praise of Mnangagwa and the so-called Vision 2030. There's nothing wrong with somebody supporting a particular party or a leader. But in the context of Zimbabwe politics, people have to understand what is at stake. And if they do, and they still continue to support the individual or the party, then one has got to question them. This individual posted this. Many people have dismissed it as he's just campaigning to seek attention so that he can get a car from the likes of Whitnell Juvayo. That may well be the case. But I think we should also start looking at people like that with a more critical eye. You can't keep on selling the country for the sake of a car. We have to look at what is in the common good, in the national interest, not always be looking at your own selfish interest. But before I go on, let me show you the video and let the gentleman speak for himself.
Amberi nekuvaka nyika inovakwa nevene vayo ngativake takatungamirirwa naHis Excellency Comrade E.T. Second Republic ZANU-PF takaenda 2030 EG Emerson anopedza chibaba ichi anopedza Emerson 2030 yeye mudhara to the fullest.
Well, that is a sickening posturing. What must be remembered here is that Zimbabwe is a failed state. All of us, all Zimbabweans, have been affected. It is interesting to note that he has singled out the Second Republic. This is again another one of ZANU-PF's brainwashing. Ever since the military coup in 2017, Emerson and his colleagues have tried to put some distance between themselves and what Robert Mugabe was doing, as if to suggest that they had nothing to do with the Mugabe era. This is, of course, nonsense, because anyone who understands what was going on during Mugabe's period would know that Emerson Mnangagwa was his enforcer. Ask yourself, who kept Robert Mugabe in power, if not Emerson Mnangagwa, with the same idiots that are around him now? So why is he pretending that he had nothing to do with the earlier period? because it's convenient. But I would like to focus on the issue of elections. Does this idiot, he is an idiot, you heard me, does he understand that Zimbabwe, during the so-called First Republic, the people of Zimbabwe failed to stop the economic meltdown precisely because they were denied the meaningful say in the governance of the country? Does he understand that? Because if he did, he should know by now that the number one priority for the country has been to make sure that we restore the right of all citizens to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. This whole issue about Vision 2030, ask yourself, was Mnangagwa democratically elected by the people of Zimbabwe? He's president, yes, but was he democratically elected by the people of Zimbabwe? The answer is no. He came in 2017 on the cocktails of the military coup. He then promised that he was going to hold free, fair, and credible elections. And we all know that he blatantly rigged the 2018 elections. And then the 2023 elections. When people try to protest the vote rigging, the blatant cheating in the 2018 elections, we all know what happened. People were killed. So there cannot be any doubt that Mnangagwa is illegitimate. 2023, SADC and the AU election observers condemned those elections as flawed and illegal. So we have got an illegitimate government right now. And it is clear that come 2028, with not even one token reform implemented, ZANU-PF intends to rig the elections. So what we are talking about here is whether the people like it or not, ZANU-PF will remain in power post-2028. And whether they decide that Mnangagwa should stay until 2030 is up to that party. The issue for the people of Zimbabwe should be 2028, we have to restore the right of all Zimbabweans a meaningful say in the governance of the country. Because the argument is, as much as he's talking about Mnangagwa delivering this vision 2030, ask yourself, if he doesn't deliver it, what recourse do you have? None. Because ZANU-PF will just rig the elections and stay in power. What got us in this economic mess is the failure to hold ZANU-PF to account. Why that should not, the penny has not dropped in some people's heads, beggars belief. The 2028 elections are first and foremost about ending the curse of rigged elections and bad governance. I've said it on this platform and I'll say it again. The right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country is more than just a right. It is the essence of good governance. 2028, Mnangagwa, he can forget about this vision 2030. We want him to deliver to the people of Zimbabwe the prospects of good governance. And that starts with holding free, fair, and credible elections. What are the chances of that happening? With not even one token democratic reform implemented, nil, none. ZANU-PF intends to rig 2028 elections. What can we do? I believe the people of Zimbabwe's response to that should be to make sure that we do not keep on participating in these flawed elections to give ZANU-PF legitimacy. In the past, the people have been conned by the likes of Chamisa, who promised them that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes, when in fact he was only lying. The people themselves are to blame, because Nelson Chamisa and his MDC CCC friends have betrayed the people of Zimbabwe for the last 25 years. They failed to implement even one reform in 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU. Why the people of Zimbabwe failed to register that is their problem. We have to wake up to the reality that Chamisa and company are corrupt, incompetent, liars, and conmen. We want meaningful change in Zimbabwe. Our starting point is to be the restoration of the right of every Zimbabwean to a meaningful say in the governance of the country in 2028. So unless the elections are free, fair, and credible, which is unlikely because no reforms have been implemented, the people of Zimbabwe should make a conscientious decision now that they will not participate in those elections. Because if they don't participate, they will deny ZANU-PF legitimacy. This has happened before. 2008, ZANU-PF was forced to go into the GNU because SADC had refused to accept that the regime had won those elections in 2008. The regime, SADC, will refuse to acknowledge ZANU-PF's victory in 2008 if we, the people, do not make the same mistake of participating in those flawed elections in our millions, as we did in 2018 and 2008. 2018 and in 2023. As for our friend here, I think we have to make it abundantly clear that the nation is sick and tired of individuals who will support the regime out of selfish greed. The whole point of supporting Mnangagwa for this so-called Vision 2030 is nonsense. Even if he was to fulfill it, to deliver it, we will still have a problem in our hands. That is, you deliver it, and the government that will remain after 2030 is still a ZANU-PF government. And if it doesn't deliver, it can still impose its rule because they still have all the powers to rig elections. We need to have a government whom we can hold to account. If they fail, we can remove them. If they perform well, people can vote for them again and keep them in power. But we, the people, will vote them. At the present moment, we do not have that power. That is precisely the point. We have a regime that has been rigging elections and staying in power whether we like it or not. And this has been going on since independence. They're talking of 46 years and counting. I believe 2028 elections are about letting ZANU-PF know that the most important thing above all else is that we restore the people's right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. Forget Vision 2030. We want to restore the people's right to hold those in public office to account. We want to end the madness of ZANU-PF having carte blanche powers to stay in power, whether we, the people, like it or not. That is what is at stake here. Think about it. Thank you. Have a good night.